Needless to say, it's been a very, very long road. Welcome to the video of me talking all about my recovery, my rehab, my thoughts, my feelings, all revolving around me tearing my ACL and me being injured as an athlete. I know so many people experience this. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my experience and my journey throughout me tearing my ACL and what that was like. This video is probably going to be a little bit of a longer one, so I need you guys to sit down, grab a drink, get some popcorn, because I'm going to be as authentic with you guys as I can. With that being said, trigger warning, there is going to be a little bit of bruising, scarring, blood, not really, but like I'm gonna be showing you guys images and videos of me going through this process because it's something that I was not prepared for going into, and there really isn't a video like this considering the amount of people that have gone through this. But as long as I can help at least one person out there, that's all I care about. Some background that you may or may not know about me is I've been cheering for almost 9 years now, and I have never experienced an injury, which I am so forever grateful for and blessed. Well, not including this one. I mean, I've had pulled muscles, maybe sprains, but I've never really dealt with a huge injury like this. And I've never really had great knees. I mean, cheer is such an impact sport, and I've been doing it for so long. My knees were probably just so worn out because the amount of jumps, flips, tumbling you're doing on a daily basis, I mean, it starts to catch up to you when you get older. We are going to start back from the very beginning. On August 25th, 2024 is a very hot summer practice, and we were running our jump sequence for the upcoming weekend because that weekend we actually had routine camp. So we were running it a couple of times, getting our spots, and about the third time around when I did my toe touch, I heard a pop in the back of my knee, and I honestly was confused, and I just brushed it off, and I kept doing it over and over and over again. I thought it was just me pulling a muscle. I didn't really think anything of it, but I think in that moment is when I partially tore my ACL. And then fast forward to Friday is when I did my first varsity football game. It was super fun, and I was tumbling on the grass. I was stunting like normal, and nothing out of the ordinary happened. Now we fast forward to Saturday, August 30th, 2024. It was our last day of routine camp. For those who don't know, routine camps usually last about 2 days, and this was our last day, and we are running our routine for the last time that night. It's about 9:35 at night, and we're in the dance section. And I remember I had to get to this certain point on the floor. There was a certain line I needed to get on to hit my next motion for the dance, and I knew I wasn't gonna make it, so I decided to long jump to my spot. And when I hit my next motion, my knee just fully pops out of place and then pops back in. The fact that you can see that visual from that far away, because this video was taken far away, is kind of crazy to me, and that just kind of shows you how bad it hurt. I can't really explain to you what this feels like if you haven't experienced it before. It was the worst physical pain I have ever felt, and I have a high pain tolerance, so that's how you know it hurt. I just remember looking up to the ceiling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that hurts so bad. My first thought was like, am I paralyzed? Like, it hurt so bad. It felt like my knee wasn't my knee. Like, my knee had no stability whatsoever. It didn't feel like my knee was on my body. It felt like everything just exploded. I couldn't put weight on it. I couldn't move it without it hurting. So then I was like, someone must have just hit my knee in the right spot. Also not the case, because watching that video back, obviously nobody was anywhere near my knee. I go to hit my next motion in the dance, and I just can't. I literally can't, and I'm like, I can't finish this. I can't move. I can't walk. So I'm limping off the floor, and I sit on the side of the floor, and I'm just looking at my knee, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened? There was no room for tears. I did not cry because I think I was in a state of shock. I'm making sure I can bend and flex my knee, which I was able to. I got up and I walked over to my team, broke, and we all went on our way. Well, I'm walking out to the lobby after getting my stuff, and my knee buckles. After you tear your ACL, your knee buckles like all the time, and anytime it buckles, it hurts really bad because essentially your bones are just rubbing together like this because your ACL is the stability of your knee. And when you don't have that, you're not working with much. My mom comes up to me. She's asking what's wrong. I'm like, I have no idea. That was the weirdest thing ever. I don't know what just happened. So I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, that must have just been a fluke. There's no way there's actually anything wrong. I get home and I walk into the kitchen and I'm taking my shoes off and I'm leaning against the counter. And as I'm leaning against the counter, I'm standing on on my left leg, also my left knee that I just hurt. And as I'm taking off my right shoe, my knee just buckles really, really bad. I like catch myself with my hands on the floor and I'm like, there was just a pit in my stomach and I was like, there's no way something isn't wrong. Like that was not a fluke. So even though I was in denial and I didn't want to admit it to myself, I knew something was severely wrong. So I go up to my room and I'm just talking to my mom about what happened. I'm bawling my eyes out simply because of the fact I was just scared of the unknown. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I dislocated my knee. I maybe broke a bone. I kid you not, throughout this whole entire process until I was informed that I tore my ACL based off an MRI, tearing my ACL did not even cross my mind. I didn't even know that was a possibility. I didn't know tearing your ACL felt like that. So I was just very scared of the unknown. The next morning, up until a few days after that happened, I wasn't able to walk on my knee. Like I was limping everywhere. Once a few days passed and it wasn't getting better, I went to Emerge Ortho. They gave me crutches because I was not able to walk without being in pain. And they were like, I think you just hyperextended your knee, but we're going to follow up with an orthopedic surgeon just to make sure nothing's wrong. But if you just hyperextended your knee, you'll just be out from 7 to 10 days. And I was like, that's a really long time, but it's better than like months. Foreshadowing, clearly. So I follow up with an orthopedic surgeon. He tells me, hey, it doesn't look like anything might be severely wrong, but I'm going to get you an MRI just in case because I don't want you going back and doing more to your knee. So he wanted to make sure everything was completely okay before he sent me back after those 7 to 10 days. Thank the Lord he did, because once again, if I were to go back after those 7 to 10 days or even less, I would have fully blown out my knee. And my surgeon told me after I got my MRI back, if I sent you back, I would never be able to cheer again. I would never be able to tumble again. So that just goes to show you like God's timing is perfect. So I go to practice that night after getting my MRI done, and I'm not doing anything at this point. I haven't done anything for the past 2 practices, so I'm just sitting there watching my team. And I'm talking to one of my tumble coaches and I'm like, I'm just glad I got my MRI done. I'm glad it's not anything with my ACL because that would be bad and I would be out for many, many months. Those were the exact words that came out of my mouth. Little did I know. So we get home and my dad pauses the TV, and that's how you know it's serious, when the TV gets paused. And they sit me down on the couch. My dad tells me, he's like, so we got your MRI results back and you did tear your ACL. You're out for 6 to 9 months. He said so many things after that, but just that sentence alone, I just broke. It felt like the world was just coming down on me. And it sounds dramatic, but as an athlete, doing and practicing every single day for the past almost 9 years, that's all I've ever known. So knowing that all of that would just get put to a complete stop was just very, very hard for me to hear. It was a really tough pill for me to swallow. I literally just was crying into my palms for, I kid you not, 20 minutes. I literally was just thinking over and over again, oh my gosh, I'm done for. I'm never coming back from this. Like, this is the end. At that point, you don't see anything past that point. I couldn't believe this was my reality. I'm so forever grateful that I had a wonderful support system around me. My mom, she was just reassuring for me. She was always that reassuring figure for me. Without that, I seriously don't think I could get through this alone. So I'm just so grateful for the people around me, the people who truly showed up for me and continued to believe in me. It's something I could have only hoped for. Throughout this whole process, I wanted to make it a point that I was going to the gym and doing my PT, doing my running programs that my physical therapist gave me. I really wanted to make sure I was doing this right. When I tell you, ever since I got out of surgery, I was doing my PT that I was instructed to do every single day, if not even more, because I was so determined to get back out there. I just was so determined and so focused on getting back out there. Just get back out on the floor. That's all I was focused on for the last over 9 months. A tip I would give anybody is to do physical therapy before your surgery date. I seriously think that helped me so much with mobility after my surgery. I mean, I know not everybody is able to work with a physical therapist before they get into surgery, but I seriously think if you're able to, definitely do that, because it helped me so much, especially with the mobility, the walking, the running. I was on my crutches for probably like 2 to 3 days after my surgery. It was a struggle literally getting out of bed. I couldn't move my toes when I got out of surgery. October 15th, 2024 was my surgery date. I couldn't sleep that night. I was so excited. I waited a long long time for my surgery just because of how things worked out. I was so excited to get my surgery and just start this rehab process. I would count down the days till my surgery. They put me in a holding room, and that's where they gave me all my IVs, my fluids, my nerve blocker, which is something, a huge needle that they put in your hip. I just felt like I was in Grey's Anatomy the whole entire time because where my holding room was sitting, I could see directly into the OR. Like, I would just see people scan their badges and the metal doors would open, and I saw the OR board of all the cases that morning. For those who don't know, the surgery is they cut 2 holes right here. That is where they put a little like scope, like a camera, so they can take pictures of your knee, which I have those pictures. They only really know everything until they go inside. When they were in my surgery, they saw that I had shredding in my meniscus, so they just shaved that down. I had a allograft, so it's basically just a donor gave me their ACL. I didn't want to take anything out of like my quad or hamstring, which is something a lot of people do and it's something a lot of athletes do. I just didn't feel like that was going to be best for me because then I would have to retrain both ligaments. They threaded the new ACL in, tied it off with a screw and a metal disc. I got out of surgery and I remember waking up from anesthesia and I was just like, it feels like they took away every ounce of muscle out of my leg. I couldn't wiggle my toes, and I just remember waking up and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a long road. I was just thinking to myself, I don't think I will be able to be as strong as I was before, if not stronger. But I went to PT a few days later, was just bending and flexing my knee, practicing mobility. Obviously, there was a lot of fluid buildup. There was a lot of bruising in my foot. This surgery, like, it was only on my knee, but it affected my whole body. Obviously, I lost a lot of muscle before I was able to gain it back. I had to sleep with my brace on. I mean, everybody does. Let me tell you, it is the most uncomfortable thing to sleep with, but you can't bend your knee like until your physical therapist or surgeon says you can, because on the ACL brace, like, there's certain degrees that you can bend your knee at before it locks. So I had to sleep with my brace on for a good 3 months. I just remember, like, my hip flexor hurt so bad because not only because the nerve blocker was put there, but also just because I'm just sitting with my leg. My hip flexor just got so tight and it was awful. I was hurt for the whole season. I was out for the whole season, but that did not stop me from going to every single practice for school cheer and all-star cheer. I went to every single competition, both school cheer and all-star cheer. I wanted to make it a point, even though I was not really there for my teammates on the floor, I wanted to be there for them off the floor. And although it probably wasn't necessary for me to be there, I still wanted to be there. I still wanted to be there for my team in any way I could, even if it was great or small. I made a commitment to the team at the beginning of the season. Might as well stay committed throughout the entire season, even though I was hurt. Don't get me wrong, even though I went to every single comp and every single practice, it was really, really hard for me to watch. It was hard knowing everyone was moving on, succeeding, getting better, which I love, but you're just stuck on the same day every single day. Like, I was still stuck in the same spot I was 9 months ago. Knowing I couldn't do anything more than what I was already doing really just hurt. And it's hard seeing your team that you're supposed to be a part of, you're supposed to be out there on the floor, hit their first zero, so like hit their first routine, do really, really well at a competition, score their best score, and knowing you can't be a part of that, it was really hard for me to watch. Certain milestones that my team would reach, like over the course of the season, that would just really hit me hard, and you would never know because I never showed that. I just wanted to bring a positive attitude, so I always made sure I was standing tall and supporting my team as much as I could. And that by far might be the hardest thing about this whole process, this whole journey. And you won't know the feeling until you really experience it. I would count the days that went by every single day until I hit July 15th, which was my 9-month mark. I was telling my mom in the car every single day, I just want to be out there. And I would tell that to her every single time I would go to practice, which is something I will always think about when I step on the mat. It might be a hard practice, but I will never take for granted what I'm able to do and how I'm able to move my body and the experiences I'm able to experience with my team, like, ever again, because it's all I would ever wish for 9 months. Spoiler alert, it did take a lot more than 9 months. You have to really celebrate the little wins. You're disappointed a lot of the times. When you test, you do 3, 6, and 9-month testing where you test your strength and your jumping and your mobility. So I really had to learn how to celebrate the little wins, and patience really tested me throughout this process. By By the 4-month mark, I started to see my muscle come back, and I can say now, a year later, that I am stronger than I ever was before, physically and mentally. And around the 6th to 7th mark is when I was able to start stunting again, and I just remember stunting for the first time, and I was like, it feels like I never left. And that was one of the really celebrating little wins that I experienced for myself. So that was really reassuring for me. Coming out of this, my perspective has changed immensely. It changes how I look at things as an athlete. It changes things of how I take care of my body. I really understand deeply the importance of taking care of your body. Make sure you're fueling it right. Make sure you're recovering right. Make sure you're knowing when to stop and knowing when to push through and knowing when to take a pause. And that's just a reason why I'm so grateful I went through this experience. If you told me that I would be saying those words like a year ago, I would think you're crazy. I just think that this whole process has taught me so much. That doesn't exclude the fact, though, that coming back, it just feels a little different. I'm a whole different athlete than I was previous to this injury and through this journey. I look at things differently and things feel different. It's frustrating at times, and that's just something you have to deal with when you go through something like this. To bring this era to a close and really just be able to close this chapter and move on and continue to get better and better, I just am so grateful I went through this experience. Being at the end of this, I've been so blessed throughout this, and I've learned so much immensely about myself and about the sport and what it means to be an athlete, knowing that there is always a plan. Everything happens for a reason, which is something I stand by. God's timing's perfect, his plan's perfect, and I'm just here to follow along his path and what he has for me. Just knowing that is what got me through this, and why I'm able to just go back with like not many worries is just because I know that like God has a plan for me. There's something even greater for me in the future, and we'll see what the future holds. Thank you guys for like watching this whole video. If you stayed till the end, you're actually a trooper. Like, I don't know how you sat through this of me talking, but I hope you learned something, and I hope that if you ever have to go through an injury, maybe not like this, or maybe not as severe as this, or maybe more severe than this, if you're going through something like this, like, you're seen, because it can feel so isolating and you can feel so small throughout something like this. But I get you. I know what you're feeling. I hope that things can only go up from here. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want. Bye. Ow, my knee just popped.